So as I said, first inspections, first visits in May 1992, things were looking pretty good. But by the summer of 1992, there were some problems surfacing. The IAEA became concerned about inconsistencies in the North Korean declaration. Based on radiochemical analysis of samples that they collected at Yongbyon, they began to question whether or not North Korea had in fact reprocessed more than the less than 100 grams that they declared. The concern was that they might have actually discharged an entire core of irradiated fuel from the reactor and reprocessed it, in which case, if they had done that, there could have been as much as, at the time it was thought, 12 kilograms. Later that number was reduced to 8 kilograms of plutonium. That information based on radiochemical analysis was supplemented by intelligence information that indicated that there were possibly suspect concealed waste storage sites near the reprocessing facilities that might have contained waste from that undeclared reprocessing campaign. The intelligence community briefed the IAEA on this information, and they used for the first time in an international forum satellite photography of these suspect waste sites to explain what was going on. This was the first time, as I said, that this kind of imagery had been used in an international forum. You have to understand, of course, satellite imagery was not ubiquitous then like it is today. There was no digital globe or Planet Labs, and so this use of satellite imagery had a tremendous impact, and it led the IAEA Board of Governors to vote to request of the IAEA that there be special inspections of these waste sites. Rather than comply with this request or demand for special inspections, the North Koreans in March 1993 declared their intention to withdraw from the Nuclear Nonproliferation Treaty. They gave the 3-month notice required by the treaty of their intention to withdraw. In June, in negotiations with the United States, they suspended their withdrawal at the very last minute with 1 day left. And so it was a tense situation. Later in that same year, in November 1993, the intelligence community wrote their first estimate on North Korea's nuclear program, in which they judged that there was a better than even chance that North Korea had already produced enough plutonium for 1 or possibly 2 nuclear weapons. So in other words, in that ambiguity, that question about how much plutonium have they actually separated, the NIE is judging a better than even chance that they had already separated some number close to the high end of that range. Now, of course, better than even chance, that's not really a very high confidence or a very strong judgment. It could be a 51-40, 51-49 sort of thing. But when you make these kind of judgments, nobody tends to remember that. It came across perhaps more strongly than anticipated. It had a big impact in the policy community. They didn't like this NIE, to say the least. Bob Gallucci said that, who was the chief U.S. negotiator with the North Koreans at that time, this NIE shed no light on the issue, but plenty of heat. In his view, it did nothing more than damage administration credibility and make their job more difficult. Whatever the merits of the NIE, it foreshadowed an increasing polarization in the intelligence community and judgments about North Korea. As noted here, the State Department Bureau of Intelligence and Research, which is the element in the State Department that is their part of the intelligence community, dissented from that view. So again, this foreshadows an increasing polarization in the intelligence community. The DIA, the Defense Intelligence Agency, is sort of on the other end of that polarization, already concluding by this time that North Korea not only has a nuclear weapons program, but will not give it up under any circumstances.